First story. Married for 33 years, me, am 55, wife 55, 2 kids, 2 grandkids, and we love them dearly. Background. We met at a nightclub back in the 80s where I was working as a bouncer. Went out for a date and 2 months later moved in together. 2 years later married. We had a good life, work, play, having children. I went from a very active job to a sedate job, and put on a lot of weight, to the extent that I couldn't even finish sex as I would get an asthma attack. We tried different things to spice up our sex life and were always monogamous. I had been cheated on in the past, so infidelity was a red line that my wife and I never crossed. We loved each other and thought we would die together. 33 years married is a long time, but I loved her more after every year that passed. After 20 years of a dead bedroom, I made a decision to lose the weight. So after 2 years I lost 80 kgs, 176 lbs, and had a tummy tuck. I know it sounds vain, but there were 3 main reasons. 1 was so I could see my grandkids grow up. 2, my health obviously, and 3, to rekindle our sex life. And it did. For the last 2 years we had sex about 3 or 4 times per week, and my wife enjoyed every second of it. I knew this because her body doesn't lie. So we were in a position where we can enjoy our lives with each other. She still says she is in love with me and I with her. I have never cheated on her, and I know she had never cheated on me. It's just one of those things. Well, that was until 3 days ago. She went on a holiday with her 2 sisters, headed off interstate with them. I had no problem with this as I trusted her, but she knew that cheating was a deal breaker with us, and even after 33 years it still is. We had a relationship where nothing was hidden. We had apps on our phones where we could see each other's whereabouts. This had nothing to do with a lack of trust, just simple safety. No phones were hidden and we both had access to our messages and emails. Trust was never an issue. When I lost my weight and started to look better, I did gain more attention from women, but I always brushed it off as I was happily married. My wife would comment that she felt a little insecure now that I was being found attractive by others, and she had put some weight on. This never worried me as I love her no matter what she looks like. I tell her daily I love her and how beautiful she is. Our sex is amazing, and I am regretful that we didn't try hard enough earlier on. Anyway, I had just finished work and was heading home when I got a phone call from my wife. She was very upset and asked me if my sister-in-law had spoken to me. I said no. Why? I asked what was wrong, never thinking that I would hear what she was about to say. She told me she cheated and had sex with another man. She is so sorry, she didn't know what came over her. I was shocked and my heart just broke. I sat in my car numb while she continued. She said her sisters and her were having a few drinks and a married couple joined them. They drank until 2 a.m. and her sisters had already left to go back to their room. The bar closed, and she told me that she was very drunk and went with a couple to their room to keep drinking and talking. They both were very complimentary and kept telling my wife how sexy she was and her husband was a lucky man. The man then started to touch her and the wife encouraged them both. They told her no one would know and to just enjoy it. She said she felt that it wasn't even her, but she had sex with the husband while the wife watched. In the morning when she woke up, she was in bed with both of them asleep and ran back to her room. Her sister caught her and she told her everything. Her sister told her she had to tell me or she would. She told me all this while sobbing over the phone and begging for my forgiveness. I was just numb. How could she just throw away our lives? She was crying and kept saying she is so sorry and she hates herself, how much she loves me and made a terrible mistake. I told her she didn't make a mistake, she made a decision. I then hung up on her and turned off my phone. I went home and just sat in a chair trying to work out what is going to happen now. I cried over the loss of my wife, as I knew her, and the years we had together. I cried over the loss of our future together, and the effect her decision will have on our family. My life as I knew it was over. I shut myself off for the last 2 days and then turned my phone back on. Needless to say, there were hundreds of messages from her and her sisters. The last one was she is on her way home. My kids have also tried to contact me as their mother was ringing them to see if I was alright and if they had heard from me. I rang my kids and told them what happened, and that I am as okay as can be expected, but I will be leaving home to go sort myself out before she gets home. I asked them not to tell her where I am going, but I need to come to grips with the end of my marriage. I have just sent a text to my soon-to-be ex-wife, telling her we are getting a divorce and I don't want to hear from her. I don't care about the details and I now don't care about her. The pain is incredible. I would never have thought that our love could have been destroyed so quickly. Update. I may ramble a bit, but I have a lot going through my mind and it keeps jumping from one thing to another. Couple of clarifications. Our dead bedroom wasn't completely dead, but compared to the last 2 years it seemed so. The active job I had was in the military, and I got injured on a training exercise which led to a desk job, then medical discharge, and then my wife and I brought a small business together. Now before I speak to my wife, I have spoken at length to my sister-in-law and her husband. The story my wife gave me was certainly different to the one she gave me when she first confessed. My kids were horrified about what happened and just want to support me. I have explained to them that though they may be angry with their mother, she is still their mother and the grandmother of their kids. She loves them, and what she did to our marriage does not change that. My wife and her sisters did cut the holiday short and came home. I left a note for my wife telling her to pack and go stay at her mother's. She did this. The details of how it went down are much worse than what my wife told me. Though she confessed under the threat of being exposed, she didn't tell the truth. No surprise there. My wife broke down to her sister and apparently told her everything. I won't know what to believe until I sit down with my wife. The story she told her sister went like this. She loves me and loves our marriage. She never expected to do this. She blames our active sex life we have had over the last 2 years to explore what else she had been missing. She felt this way because she was always the attractive one in the relationship, but now, she believes the roles are reversed. She was insecure and needed to be wanted by someone else. She swears it was the first time, but she did plan it. It was fantasy she acted on. She was scratching an itch and was never going to tell me. Unbeknown to her sisters, the couple she met were interstate customers of ours. I haven't met them, but my wife spoke with them all the time over phone. My wife went for drinks to meet up with them, but her sisters tagged along, so they pretended to be strangers until they left. She did drink but was not falling down drunk. All three had this planned before they went away. My wife is coming around this afternoon to talk. Apparently, she is beside herself to what will happen. I already know what I will do. She chose to cheat, but everyone will feel the repercussions of it. Already the truth about her cheating, though, makes it more devastating to me, makes my resolve stronger. I didn't cheat. I didn't force her to lie. Her feelings that she has lost me and her marriage are spot on, and I don't give a shit how miserable she is. She did this, no one else. But we will now all have to deal with it. We are over and will have navigate our changed lives. Update. Firstly, thank you to those 99% that showed support. It really is helping. For those others that blamed me, well, I have no doubt that you have your own issues to deal with, and good luck with that. This is a long post, as once I started to type I could stop. It felt good to get it down in print, so to speak, and was a little cathartic. This will be my last update for a while, and for those interested in what happens, I will post in a few months' time to let you know how things are going. I had the talk with my wife yesterday. After so many years together, we both find that we don't sleep very well without the other beside us. It's been like for decades. Well, last night was the first night that I had a very good night's sleep without her there. She came around home and walked through the door. She looked terrible. Lack of sleep, guilty, scared, and red-eyed. Normally my heart would break, and I would make her feel better, but not this time. I was sitting at the table, and she started to cry again and rushed in for a hug, blubbering she fucked up and is so sorry, etc. I put my hand up and told her not to touch me and sit down. She sat down. I asked if she wanted a coffee, as I was going to make one, and she accepted. So I made the coffee and went back to the table. Her eyes never left me. She started to speak, but I told her to be quiet and answer my questions and listen. This isn't about her but me and the marriage. I told her at this point we were done. She had made her choice, and this is about making mine. I had already made my choice, but I wanted to get some semblance of truth out of her, and I thought if she thought she had a chance she would at least be a little honest. I told her I have spoken with her sister, which was true, and I had spoken with a couple, which wasn't true. But she didn't know that. I had the strangest feelings inside of me. Happy that she was so upset but sad for us at the same time. Along with disappointment, anger and all the normal emotions you would have. But I was calm, and this freaked her out the most. Honestly, I felt I was doing a job interview. I asked her how many times. She said physically once and twice on video chat. I told her to explain how it happened. She told me that when they were talking business it turned to flirting. Then when the wife said it was okay and got involved over a couple of months, it moved on to watching them have sex. She told them that it has always been a fantasy of hers to have sex while the wife watched, and they were all for it. She was crying when she told me this and said it went too far. She knew it was dangerous, which made it more exciting for her. She started to tell me that she felt insecure, but before she could continue, I told her I don't want to hear her bullshit excuses and justifications. I had to wait about 5 minutes until she could pull herself together. I even got up and got her tissues. She said they met up as arranged, and after her sisters had left the bar, they went straight to the couple's room. I asked her if she ever intended to tell me, and she said no. It was just a fantasy that she thought she could fulfill and never think about cheating again. I called bullshit and asked if she had cheated over the last 33 years. She said never. I told her that now it didn't matter how many times she cheated, either once or 1,000 times, the result would still be the same. The only one it will hurt if she is lying is our kids, and her relationship with them, and our grandkids. I told her I don't believe her, but at this point it's irrelevant. At this she started to realize I had no intention of working through her infidelity. She begged me to work on our marriage. She would do anything. I could do anything. She would let me have affairs if I stayed. She promised she would never cheat again. I told her to listen to what she was saying. She has degraded herself enough. I would never cheat in a marriage, and if I did sleep with another woman, it would mean we were separated with no chance of reconciliation. This is the last thing on my mind. She reached over to try and grab my hand, but I told her that I will never touch her again. It's not that I am judgmental of anyone's lifestyle. It's their own business, and I understand people do have affairs, open marriages, etc. But the point is we didn't. The trust and respect were destroyed when she planned to have another man's dick inside her. I have always been a pragmatic man, and I just felt relief. I told her we will make this as easy on us as we can. She took this as hope for our relationship. But I told her no, we are done. I will never touch you again, and I meant it. I could never forget that she fucked another man, and the woman I loved and married is now dead to me. She died when you not only fucked another man but planned for it. All the good memories we have will remain, the holidays, building our first home together, having and bringing up our children. All the laughs in life we faced together are just that, memories. We are now going to have separate lives, and I for one am looking forward to see what happens, and they will not include you. When I do meet another woman, I hope to start new memories with her and hope that I do find love again. She was shaking and crying when I told her this, but it didn't faze me. I just wanted this woman out of my house. She couldn't continue with the talk, so I went down to shed and reached out to my kids by phone while she composed herself. I told them what was happening, and they were very supportive and said to not drag it on and just finish it. I went back up, and as soon as I walked through the door, she started again with a sorry, and we can make this work. I sat down and said we are going to sell the house and business and split everything 50-50. You can have the car and I will take the truck and my motorcycle. She can take the cats. I then told her not to ring me, text me, or contact me in any way unless it's about the kids or grandkids. I will contact the lawyers and start the ball rolling for the divorce, and she is free to go fuck anyone she wants, as she is now a free woman. She told me that she didn't want to fuck anyone else and I was being deliberately mean and unemotionally. I told her that I was being honest and her actions had put me in an emotional void. I told her that she is the only one to blame for the destruction of a marriage and no one else. I loved her unconditionally and she's the one who fucked it up. I then left the house so she could sort herself out and take a few more things with her and went over to my daughter's. I stayed there for a few hours talking with her and played with my granddaughter. When I got home she had left and as I said I had the best night's sleep without her I have ever had. Now to see what happens over the next 6 months or so. Update. Thank you to all the messages and responses, it has helped me maintain my focus. Well, it's been 5 hectic weeks since the soon-to-be ex-wife threw away our marriage. I have had a lot of time to reflect on my decision and I still believe I have made the right one. I could never trust her again. I could never touch her again. Seriously, it makes me sick to even think about it. It was her decision to cheat and destroy our marriage for no other reason than she thought she could get away with it. She is still staying with her mother and I had been getting the house ready for sale. We had been in this house for 20 years so a lot of shit needed to be done and cleared out. But I did it and we put it on the market. There are a couple of eager buyers so I am hopeful it will be sold in the next week or two. The business has already been sold. Thankfully one of our clients wanted to expand and I accepted the offer last week. Settlement will take place in about a month. You always hear about divorce but it is already a pain in the ass. Where I live you have to be separated for 12 months and 1 day before you can file for divorce. Then it takes 4 months before it goes through and that's only if it's uncontested. Property settlement is a separate issue and is not done until the divorce is finalized. I don't plan on having anything left of our joint possessions left to settle and as long as she continues to sign the sales contracts, it will make my life a lot easier to move on. Her way of thinking is different though. My son has only spoken to her once and apparently it was not a nice phone call. To be clear, my children are grown adults with children of their own. I told him it will take time but she is still his mother and she was a good one. Don't let her decision destroy a relationship with her. My daughter on the other hand has been talking to her throughout. She is ashamed of what her mother did but has been supporting her through the breakup. My daughter is a very honest person who tells it like it is and is giving her mother the warts and all repercussions of what she did. My soon-to-be ex-wife however is deluded enough to think that I will get over it and forgive her. She thinks that all the years we have been together will be enough to make me change my mind. When she came over to sign the real estate contract and told me that I will change my mind, that I still love her and she will be a better wife when I do and we will still grow old together and have a wonderful life with this as a speed bump in our marriage that we will both get over, I was gobsmacked. I just looked at her and said she was fucking nuts to think any of that. She lied and cheated in the worst way. She had another man's dick inside her. She sucked another man's dick while his own wife watched. How the hell would I even want to touch her again? She said she knew she shouldn't have gone through with it. She didn't know what she was thinking. It wasn't even that good. I told her to shut up, that I didn't want to hear if she enjoyed it or not. The point is she fucking did it. I told her that we have zero hope of reconciliation. I want nothing to do with her, and I am looking forward to getting on with my life without her. I think she is in massive denial about what is happening, and she no longer has any control over my actions, or is entitled to. Her scheming and cheating undid a loving marriage. Her actions is why this is happening. She knew this before she did what she did, so she can't be so naive to think it's not happening, because it is. The funny thing is that I am getting a fair amount of attention from other women now. I am certainly not interested in having anything to do with women at this time, but it's nice to know that when I do I will have plenty of options. The soon-to-be ex-wife even got angry that women we know have been over to visit and bring me dinner, just to talk of course. She told me she wants me to get it out of my system and she will be waiting. I mean seriously, how fucked up is she? The only thing I want out of my system is her. Emotions are still a major factor: hate, anger, disgust, the feeling of loss, betrayal and sadness, but I am a strong man and I will deal with them. My goal now is to focus on getting rid of any financial entanglement with my wife and get on with my life. Update. Life after 33 years married. D-Day 3 days ago. The messages are still coming, so here is what my and my ex-wife's life is like now. Wife cheated with a couple. Sister-in-law found out and forced her to confess. Ex-wife was devastated at the consequences of her choice. Now divorced. Seems wrong to sum up what she did in one sentence. Anyway, life is great. Smiley. Divorce went through easy enough 12 months ago. My relationship with my kids and grandkids are fantastic. I get to see them regularly when I am not traveling. I have had some short-term fun relationships since D-Day, and now I am in a serious relationship with a beautiful woman whom my kids adore. She respects me, and everything in our life is something that I was not aware existed in my previous marriage. Sex is fantastic, and she has the same morals as I do, though, and she understands. I do have trust issues which I am working on, but truthfully I don't think they will ever go away, and I do manage them. My ex-wife, though, is such a toxic person. She has had relationships in the past, but they never lasted very long. She consistently tried to stalk me and thought we still had a chance. Deluded doesn't even come close to describe her. Our son now avoids her. She had brought her boyfriend, at the time, to their place for dinner, and apparently the guy was an absolute pig. My son described him as a slimy old man, and due to his behavior was asked to leave. Her choice of men is very self-destructive. My daughter tells me she is punishing herself. I really could not care any less. Not my monkeys, not my circus. She has reaped what she has sown, and there is a part of me that feels a little sorry for her, but also a part of me that is happy, that I couldn't give a shit anymore. So, after all the heartache, anger and sadness that she inflicted, I am now in a better place now than I have been in a very long time. All those that have or are going through this life-changing shit caused by your wife, there is definitely light at the end of the tunnel. Stay strong and be true to yourself. Don't be a doormat simp. Much love to everyone. Second story. How do I, F38, go about ending my marriage with my husband, M40? We have a mortgage, married for 10 years, 2 kids, 11, 7. We are unhappy, and it would be better for us to separate, but how do we do this? We live in the London area, and neither of us makes enough money to separate and rent a place while the other stays in our house with the kids for school, etc. I know the relationship is over, but the logistics of ending it are difficult. Help. Husband wants to leave. I, 38F, and my husband, 41M, have been together for 15 years, had 2 kids, a house, etc. He has decided he wants to end the marriage. Not the first time, but I always beg and plead and he stays. This time it's different. He wants to end the marriage because we are too different, he says. We are raising 2 young children. I do the majority of the work with them as he needs space for his career. I also work part-time since the baby was born, so I am contributing to the house's finances. Even on a part-time schedule, my job pays okay. Anyway, he says now, finally, that he is done. I'm heartbroken and have had several breakdowns over the last month. He's told me pull myself together. I've had several red flags from him recently, but he had a rough childhood himself, so I've let it slide. Everyone who knows us can't understand his decision and believes he's having a midlife crisis or a breakdown, but he's adamant that he's fine. I don't know what to do. Frown. Update. Cheated on with colleague. Me 39F and my husband 41M have been together for 16 years. He turns around and tells me that he's been cheating on me with a colleague who he's now in love with, and they will be making a life together. We all have kids in the mix. I'm so gutted. I need perspective right now. I definitely don't want him back and never will after this, and I think if she could take him that easily, then they're welcome to each other. It just hurts so much and I'm very anxious. I'm on meds as of yesterday and they've helped, but, oh my god, this is a lot. Any reassurance, tips, advice welcome and thank you. I am struggling. I go up and down so much. Lately, I can't even speak to him and let a tirade of heat unleashed at him. Really not my proudest moment at all, and now I can't speak to him because he makes me so stressed. Anyone got any advice on the healing process? I recently went back to my parents, which was a very hard trip. My elderly dad was in tears over this. I've barely seen him cry, and it really made me so angry. How dare he put my parents through this at their age in life? That's when the tirade came. I want him to stop compartmentalizing me and my entire family, all of us, and just moving on. He really doesn't seem bothered. In good news, I'm beginning to feel much freer and happier and lighter when he isn't around, which is a good side. Update. Separation after cheating. I, 38F, and my husband, 41M, are separating. I put a post on here about how he cheated with a colleague and got some really helpful responses. My next step that I'm trying to navigate is telling the children. Our oldest son is autistic, which adds to the complexity of the situation. Has anyone got any advice about how to help an autistic child navigate a parental divorce? Many thanks. Update. Separation. I, 38F, and my husband, X, 41M, will be separating very soon as he cheated on me with a colleague. I'm not trying to think of next steps and how to navigate telling our 7-year-old autistic son. Does anyone have any advice on how to best approach this with an autistic child? Update. Husband is moving in with a fair partner. I'm just so sad. Me, 39F, and my husband, 41M, have only been separated 2 months because he cheated on me with a work colleague. He says they've only been together since January and now they're moving in together in July. To a 5-bed rented house, so all the kids can be there together when they have them. She has 2, we have 2. It just seems like madness. I know they're out together tonight. Thursday seemed to be their date night, and it's killing me. I'm not talking to him and only communicating about the kids, so I'm basically no contact, but fucking hell, this hurts a lot. Just here to get some reassurance, similar stories, peace, camaraderie, because this seems like a lonely old road, and I'm not doing well on it. Peace to you all, Lex. Third story. Sorry if some of the stuff sounds stupid or AI, like I am not of the native tongue of English and I used one of the Google chat bots to fix up the story. All the information is correct and is probably a better read anyway. Just need some advice on how I should go about this weekend. I planned on staying, but maybe I should leave with the kids. Well, act like I'm leaving and set up cameras? I had cameras, but I took them all out after rearranging the garage years ago. I remember it like it was yesterday, the first time I met Sarah. It was late in my freshman year of high school, and I had just made the varsity baseball team. That was a big deal for me, being the starting second baseman as a freshman. The attention and popularity came with it, but I was laser focused on the game. Then came the charity game, where our baseball team played against the softball team to raise money for the children's hospital. That's where I first saw Sarah. She was the first baseman for her team, and I couldn't deny she was beautiful. A lot of the guys on my team were talking about her, trying to get her number. But I wasn't interested in that. I was focused on winning the game. During the game, after I hit a single, I ended up on first base where Sarah was playing. I didn't think much of it at the time. I didn't acknowledge her at all, not even after the game or during the pre-game meeting to discuss the rules. Apparently, that caught her attention. She told me later that out of all the guys who tried to talk to her, I was the only one who didn't, and that intrigued her. A few weeks after the game, Sarah asked me to prom. She had gotten tickets from her best friend, who was a junior and didn't want to go. I wasn't the type to turn down a dance, so I said yes. Little did I know, that night would change everything. That night, we lost our virginity to each other, and for the rest of our freshman year and the summer, we were inseparable. We found every possible place to sneak off and be together. Closets in school, secluded spots on campus, anywhere we could be alone. Sarah had a high sex drive, and I was more than happy to keep up with her. Looking back, it was our intense physical connection and the fact that I didn't chase her like the other guys that brought us together. Our relationship was solidified with moments like our first prom, skipping school to be together, eating at different restaurants, and getting each other promise rings that summer. And, of course, the charity game where we first met. but it wasn't always smooth sailing. Sarah was very popular, and a lot of guys would text her. She handled it well, always blocking numbers and reassuring me that she only wanted me. She was open and honest, even giving me her phone's PIN. She hated the idea of cheating, and she made it clear that she was committed to me. This reassurance wasn't really needed, but it was nice to know she felt that way. Throughout high school, we were in many of the same classes, and we excelled academically. We were partners in group projects and participated in activities together. We were inseparable, and everyone saw us as a perfect couple. Sarah came to as many of my baseball games as she could, and I attended a few of her softball games when I could. My dedication to baseball was intense, and she understood that. Our school had a partnership with a local college, offering free tuition to students with a GPA of 3.5 or higher. I had a 4.0 GPA, which meant I had plenty of scholarship opportunities. By the time I entered college, I was making about $1,800 per semester from scholarships. Sarah and I decided to attend the same college, not wanting to be burdened with student loans. We lived comfortably during college, and I proposed to her at our graduation ceremony. It was a big deal, and our friends and family were thrilled. After graduation, I made sure Sarah had the wedding of her dreams. I was already doing well financially, working as a lawyer specializing in insurance cases. I was the sole breadwinner for the first 3 years of our marriage, while Sarah focused on selling items online through her flower store and completing her studies in cosmetics. She enjoyed staying at home and was very appreciative when I renovated our garage into a salon area for her business. Around our 6th year of marriage, we decided to start a family. Our son, Isaiah, was born first, and he changed my world. Just 18 months later, our daughter, Abigail, came along. Life was good. We had financial stability, and Sarah decided she only wanted 2 kids after the exhausting experience of Isaiah's birth. She had her tubes tied, and we settled into our new routine as a family of 4. Fast forward to now, Sarah and I are 35 years old, and our kids are 7 and 5. Recently, I've noticed some changes in Sarah's behavior. She started leaving the kids with friends more often and coming home late. Initially, I assumed she was busy with salon appointments, but there was more to it. Our sex life, which had already slowed down, became almost non-existent. Sarah seemed upset about it, but I planned to make it up to her by spending a weekend together, just the 2 of us. Then things got worse. Sarah started coming home very late, sometimes with hickeys on her neck. When I asked about them, she said they were from bee stings. I believed her at first. I'm not well versed in gardening or bee behavior, but deep down, I knew something wasn't right. She had always been loyal, and the thought of her cheating never crossed my mind until now. As I pieced together these changes, the late nights, the unexplained hickeys, and her distant behavior, a feeling of unease settled in. I wanted to believe her, but the inconsistencies were becoming too hard to ignore. It was time to take a closer look at what was really happening. I want to start by expressing my deepest gratitude to everyone who reached out to me through DMs. Your support and advice have meant the world to me. A special shout out goes to Adriana, who was one of the first to offer her insights. This journey has been an eye-opener for me, and I hope my story can serve as a cautionary tale to others. No one is immune to infidelity. No matter how perfect the relationship may seem on the outside, the truth came out in the most unexpected and brutal way possible. It all started when I noticed the changes in Sarah's behavior. She had become distant, often disappearing for long hours, returning home late at night with weak excuses. Her demeanor had shifted from warm and affectionate to cold and indifferent. I saw unexplained hickeys on her neck, which she brushed off as bee stings. Even though I knew she was allergic, my gut told me something was wrong, but I wanted to believe in her so badly. I turned to Reddit, seeking advice and support from others who had been in my shoes. Many of you suggested various ways to investigate: checking her phone, showing up unannounced at her work, putting a voice recorder in her car. I tried them all, hoping to either confirm my fears or put them to rest. But nothing prepared me for the devastating reality that awaited me. Earlier this evening, after I had asked Sarah several probing questions and changed my behavior, she and Brandon, my best friend, sat me down. The moment felt surreal, like a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. They confessed. Sarah and Brandon had been having casual sex for about a month. It usually happened in her car after her appointments were over. Sarah claimed it was because she felt pressured and needed an escape. She said she was sorry, that she didn't love Brandon, and that it was just about the sex. Hearing this from Sarah was one thing, but hearing it from Brandon, my best friend, made it so much worse. Brandon, who had been there for me through thick and thin, had betrayed me in the most personal way possible. It was like losing two people I loved at once. Sarah thought I would try to work through this, believing that her need for more sex justified her actions. She mentioned that she had complained to me multiple times about our infrequent sex life, and when I only apologized without changing, she turned to Brandon. In her twisted logic, it was okay because she trusted him and knew I did too. I felt a cold rage settle over me. I told her she was getting served in 2 weeks. Her reaction was explosive. She became violent, throwing things and screaming. Brandon stepped in, trying to calm her down, and took her away as she cried and yelled at me. An hour later, she texted me, begging for forgiveness, claiming she didn't want a relationship where the sex was infrequent. She said she thought it would be okay if it was with Brandon because she trusted him and knew I did too. At that moment, I realized Sarah was insane. Her justifications were twisted and delusional. The woman I thought I would spend the rest of my life with had become a stranger. The person I loved and trusted more than anyone in the world had betrayed me in the worst possible way, and the person who should have had my back had been complicit in it. To everyone reading this, please be aware that even the most seemingly faithful partner can betray you. Infidelity can happen to anyone. Sarah and I were perfect, or so I thought. We had built a life together from high school sweethearts to loving parents, but now I see that even a woman who reassures you constantly can lie. She can look you in the eyes and make promises she has no intention of keeping. I hope that everyone can find faithful partners and never have to suffer the pain that comes with being cheated on. Thank you all for your support and understanding. Hey everyone, Jack here. My name for those wondering, a lot of people asked. I want to start by thanking all of you for the incredible support and advice you've given me over the past few days. Your messages and comments have been a lifeline during this difficult time, and I appreciate every one of you. After reading all your suggestions, I decided to take your advice. I went for an STD screening, and thankfully, the results came back negative. But that wasn't the end of the story. I also did a rapid DNA test on both Isaiah and Abby. Isaiah is my son, but Abby is not my daughter. This news shattered me to my core. I've always had a nagging feeling about Abby. Her green eyes never made sense to me, considering both Sarah and I have blue eyes. Now that I know the truth, it's all I can think about. I regret getting the test because it's a constant reminder of Sarah's betrayal, and I can't help but wonder who Abby's real father is. Despite everything, I won't abandon Abby or send her to her devil of a mother. She deserves a loving father, and I will be that for her. I had a thought about during the time Abby was conceived. Sarah was working at a salon about an hour away, and I remember one of her co-workers vividly, Nathaniel. He had those same green eyes, and he even texted my wife as I said numerous guys did. She texted him back, but it was only to be friended. I thought nothing of it at the time because we were always in a good spot then. After dropping the kids off at my parents' house, I decided to drive to the salon. Hugging and kissing Abby before I left, she told me she loved me, which made me proud. I hate Sarah, but I love Abby with all my heart. When I got to the salon, I found out that Nathaniel no longer worked there. He left around 7 months before Abby was born. It dawned on me that Sarah probably told him she was pregnant, and he couldn't handle it. The clerk, after realizing who I was, gave me his address. She also mentioned that Sarah usually stopped working around 7 or 8 p.m., and Nathaniel would always drive her home. I didn't bother confronting him or asking any questions. I already knew the truth after that since she would come home around 1 a.m. I just added this to the long list of betrayals. Brandon texted me apologizing again and telling me the news of what has been going on. He said that he had kicked Sarah out because she confessed to him that she had chlamydia. I told him to get tested and that I hoped he didn't have it, even though I would never be his friend again. He asked if I got tested, and I told him my results came back negative. I'll wrap it up here. There will probably be another update in the coming week, if I figure anything else out. And I've seen people in the past tell ex-spouses to out their STBXW for having whatever disease she has, and no, I will not do that. Other than that, this is just what I've learned so far. Should I tell Nathaniel about his daughter if he doesn't know? I'm conflicted on if I should just keep it to myself. I don't know, I never thought I'd be in a situation like this. I've come to terms with it since I already expect bad things will happen and Abby has nothing to worry about if one day her real dad wants to be in her life.